Most people who claim Social Security at 62 don't realize they may have accidentally created one of the biggest health insurance mistakes of their early retirement, and their IRA could be the one thing that makes it worse. If you've already claimed or you're about to, and you also need to think about health insurance before Medicare kicks in at 65, keep watching. The moment you claim Social Security, you didn't just add income. You added a variable that interacts with every IRA dollar you pull and pushes your modified adjusted gross income, or MAGI, over a single threshold. Crossing that threshold by even $1 doesn't cost you a little. In 2026, the ACA subsidy cliff is back. $1 over the limit, and you'll lose your entire premium tax credit. For many households, that's easily over $10,000 gone overnight. Paying $150 to $200 a month in 2025 are now looking at $500 to $900 or more in 2026. 3 years of that exposure can quietly unravel a plan that looks perfectly solid otherwise. So here's the 3-step sequence that prevents it. Let me introduce you to John. John is 62. He just claimed Social Security and received $1,820 a month, about $21,840 a year. His full retirement age benefit would have been $2,600, but claiming at 62 with a full retirement age of 67 triggers that permanent 30% reduction. He has $500,000 in a traditional IRA and $125,000 in a taxable account, no pension, and needs health insurance for 3 years until Medicare kicks in. He goes to healthcare.gov, enters his income, and gets quoted a subsidized premium that is actually in his budget. He feels fine, but what John doesn't know is that number he entered is almost certainly wrong. Not because he lied, but because he doesn't fully understand what the ACA counts as income. That number is called your modified adjusted gross income. And for ACA subsidy purposes, it is not the same as your taxable income, and not the same as what most people think of as their income. Here is what actually counts toward it and what John didn't understand. Every dollar of traditional IRA distributions counts as income in the formula. When you pull $30,000 from a traditional IRA, that $30,000 lands directly in your modified adjusted gross income. There is no offset or deduction. Your Social Security counts too. And the part that surprises most people, the ACA version of MAGI includes all Social Security benefits, not just that taxable portion. Capital gains counts and dividends count as well. Here's what doesn't count though. Qualified Roth IRA withdrawals, meaning the accounts that have been open for at least 5 years and you're over 59 and a half or older. HSA distributions used for qualified medical expenses. And now here's where John's problem takes shape. So let's just say he needs $55,000 a year to cover his basic expenses. Social Security covers $21,840 for him. That means he needs to pull roughly $33,000 from his IRA. Add those up together and Mike's MAGI sits at approximately $55,000. And that's before a single dividend payment from his taxable account or capital gains show up. And for 2026, the subsidy cliff sits approximately at $63,840. The two-person ceiling is roughly $86,880, but both figures are based on MAGI. So John is at $55,000. He has about $8,800 of cushion. That sounds reasonable until you realize one planned IRA withdrawal, like a car repair or a medical bill, a home expense, it can wipe that out completely. And unlike a tax bracket where you pay a higher rate only on the dollars above the line, this is a cliff. $1 over and you lose the entire premium tax credit for that entire year. Here's a good visual showing how this works for a single person last year in 2025, but the same concept applies. This graph shows how much premiums cost relative to your income, and it's a straight line up once you cross over that 400% poverty level. So the people that will be affected the most are those with incomes between $63,000 and $180,000. Even the smallest amount of MAGI pushes you right into those higher numbers because you're losing the subsidy, and this shows that almost 1/4 of your income is now going to healthcare premiums once you cross over. So let's go back to John here since he has $8,800 of breathing room. There are 3 moves that he can make to protect it and what he has to watch out for. So step 1 is calculate your IRA distributions before any single dollar is taken out. This is the foundation everything else is built on. Before the year starts, John needs to know his MAGI ceiling for his household size. From that number, he subtracts what's already fixed and coming in, like his Social Security, or maybe it's a pension for you. But the remainder is his IRA distribution budget for the year, along with capital gains and dividends from his taxable portfolio. So for John, $63,840 minus $21,840 leaves $42,000. He needs $33,000 to cover his living expenses. That fits inside the ceiling, but only barely. And only if nothing else is added to his MAGI, like no dividends, no interest, no unexpected brokerage gains. Every additional dollar from sources count against that ceiling. The key discipline is running this number in January, not November. You want to manage toward your ceiling across the full year, not discover in November that you accidentally just crossed over it. So his second move is to pull from MAGI neutral sources as he gets closer to that ceiling. So qualified Roth IRA distributions do not count toward MAGI, neither does withdrawing cost basis from the taxable brokerage account if there are no gains. If Mike bought into a mutual fund for $10,000 and it's still worth $10,000, pulling that money out creates zero gain and zero MAGI impact, as an example. Every dollar John pulls from a Roth or from cost basis in a brokerage is a dollar he doesn't have to pull from his traditional IRA. So the prudent thing to do would be to pull from these sources to maximize the amount he can take out without increasing his income. Now, there's an important wrinkle here. Roth conversions count as MAGI in the year you execute them. A conversion that pushes John over the subsidy cliff will claw back more in lost subsidy than it saves him in potential tax reduction in the future. So if Roth conversions make sense for his situation, they need to be sized carefully, only within whatever MAGI room remains after Social Security and planned IRA distributions that are already accounted for. Because I believe subsidies are worth more than Roth conversions in this window before Medicare kicks in. For some people in this bridge period, the right answer is just to delay Roth conversions entirely until Medicare starts in at 65, when the ACA cliff no longer applies. There's no universal answer here. It depends on your IRA balance, your expected RMDs down the road, and how much room you realistically have in any given year. So move 3, manage your brokerage account deliberately. Don't let it leak income. This is the one that catches most people off guard the most often. So John isn't actively selling anything in his brokerage account. He thinks he's fine. But in December, his mutual fund distributes $4,200 in capital gains, a completely routine year-end distribution he didn't initiate and didn't quite expect. This is why I typically like ETFs and taxable portfolios, but that's another video. The point here is that he now has to combine the dividends he got throughout the year and then add on top this long-term capital gains distribution that was forced to him. He's now sitting very close to that subsidy cliff and enough that one more IRA pull for any reason might push him over. Tax loss harvesting directly addresses this. When you sell a position at a loss, that loss offsets gains you've already realized, reducing your capital gains total on your tax return and lowering your MAGI. Capital losses can also offset up to $3,000 of ordinary income per year, with any excess carried forward into the future years. So you want to be doing tax loss harvesting throughout the year if possible. The months before your first Social Security check arrives are your lowest MAGI window. You have no Social Security income yet, stacking on top of IRA distributions. So if Roth conversions make sense for your situation, this is the best time to execute them. Size to fit inside your current tax bracket, because one Social Security layer in, your available MAGI room shrinks permanently for the duration of that bridge period. This is also when you enroll in your ACA Marketplace plan. The income estimates you submit at enrollment matters more than most people realize. Starting with 2026 coverage, if your actual income ends up higher than your estimate, there is no longer a cap on how much excess premium subsidy you may have to repay. That means if John estimates $45,000 of MAGI, but his actual MAGI comes in at $67,000, he may have to repay some or potentially all of those subsidies he received when he files his 2026 tax return in early 2027. The number you give the marketplace at enrollment is a number you need to actively manage your actual income against for the full calendar year if you do not want tax surprises later. So here's some good check-ins throughout the year. In January, calculate your MAGI ceiling for that year. Subtract your fixed Social Security income, write down what's left, That's your IRA distribution budget, how much dividends were created in your taxable account last year, how much capital gains did you have. The reason people blow through their ceiling isn't one large reckless withdrawal. It's 4 or 5 individual reasonable ones made without tracking a running total. And then discovering in October, the damage is already done. During the summer, June or July months, do a mid-year check-in on your MAGI. Any surprise pulls from your IRA you need to readjust for. If you're running higher than expected, you still have 5 months to adjust. You can also update your income estimate directly in your marketplace account. They'll recalibrate your subsidy in real time, which reduces the payment exposure at tax time. This mid-year check-in is 30 minutes. Most people skip it entirely and pay for that at tax time. During the end of year months, take a deeper look into your brokerage dividends and capital gains. Is there anything different here than last year? Open your taxable brokerage account, look at realized gains for the year and positions currently sitting at a loss. Harvest those losses against gains before year end, so when fund distributions arrive, it's not adding income you didn't plan for. Also, take a look at your final projected year-end MAGI. If you're cutting it close, pull back on any remaining December IRA distributions, or shift near-term spending to Roth assets if available. The year you turn 65 is the transition. Medicare coverage can begin on the first day of the month you turn 65, but generally only if you enroll the 3 months before your birthday month. If you enroll during your birthday month or in the 3 months after, your Medicare starts date typically shifts to the following month. Your ACA marketplace plan does not automatically end when Medicare begins, so you need to actively terminate it. Once Medicare A starts, you're generally no longer eligible for ACA premium tax credits. If you continue receiving ACA subsidies after Medicare begins, you may have to repay those subsidies when you file your tax return. Once Medicare is in place and ACA subsidies are no longer part of the equation, the ACA subsidy stops being the main income target. A different threshold takes place. That's IRMA, which determines whether you pay higher Medicare B and Medicare D premiums. IRMA uses a 2-year look back, which means the income decisions you make today can affect your Medicare premium 2 years from now. The income management habits you built during the bridge years do not go away. They simply point to a new number. And unfortunately, MAGI can remain the thorn in your side. Let me close with 3 questions you should be able to answer now. First, what is the projected MAGI this year, including Social Security, IRA distributions, and investment income? Second, am I above or below the subsidy cliff for my household size? And third, what is the one move I need to make before year end to stay under it? For most people like John, the third answer is the October brokerage review, harvesting available losses before year-end distributions arrive, and doing a final check on the IRA distribution plan. Claiming Social Security at 62 changes your entire income picture for the next 3 years. The IRA you spent decades building is either your biggest planning asset in this window or the thing that quietly costs your health insurance subsidy. So the bridge to Medicare is not a waiting period, it's a planning window. The people who treat it that way come out way ahead. If you want help thinking through your retirement situation, click on that link in the description to get started. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so I can see you in the next video.